We are live with it. Oh God, should I put these in? Okay, you'll put these in. Tell me, guys, can you see and hear me? It's me, Michelle. I know you're here. Don't be shy. Can you guys see and hear me? Let me know in the chat box, please. That would be awesome. Anyone? Andrew. Hi. Jan. Hi. Can hear me? Can you guys see me too? That would be cool. Yes, we can. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Camille, hi. It's great to see you. If you are here inside the room right now, just let me know where you are. Andrew, I know you're in Aussie, Australia. But if you are here, let me know where you are. We're going to get started in just a minute. But I just wanted to kind of explain what's going on in this one. So for those of you who are, Jan's in Georgia, in the United States. So for those of you who are familiar with my webinars, you'll know I tend to kind of like do these monthly webinars and I'll kind of like do a whole class thing and I'll do a presentation. And what I've decided to do, this is the first month because it's an experiment, and we've got the next month one set up as well to do it like this. So basically what it's going to be is I want to keep this a little bit more bite-sized for you guys. So what I'm going to be doing is splitting this down into 3 parts. So we've got one session today, we've got a session next week, and then we're going to have another session the week after. So we've got 3 sessions. So this topic that we're going to be discussing, which is all about mentorship, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. It's going to be broken down into 3 sessions. This is the first session, which I want to touch on what mentorship is all about and the issues that people face when they start taking mentorship with people, because it's really quite common. And a lot of people I've mentored have come from other people that they've been working with where they haven't quite got the results that they were looking for. And it's kind of like maybe take a different approach to what you're doing or have different expectations from the person who's mentoring you. So I wanted to go into that today, and it's not like me as a mentor, but it's about all mentors, like what you should be looking for, what the issues are, you know, like why a lot of the people tend, I'm not going to say fail because that's like a dirty word in my house, but tends not to get the results that they really want to achieve. Mahona, I never know if I'm saying her name right, Mahona, but yeah, she's joining from the Netherlands. Lovely. Okay, so to start with this first session, it's going to be very informal. I'm just going to be talking to you guys like this, and I would love to hear your feedback as well at the end of this session if you felt like this was a good way to start doing these. Karen, hi sweetie. Karen's in the UK. So we're going to go into the content. I'm just basically going to talk about the problems with mentorship this session, but we're going to start with what the purpose of mentorship is. And mentorship is so important. I said this on an email recently that when I started my business, I didn't necessarily have a mentor. A lot of people say, oh, who was your mentor when you started? I get asked that a lot in interviews. And necessarily have a mentor when I started. I basically was kind of like fumbling around on the internet looking for different blogs and entrepreneurs that I liked, and then I was kind of making my business fit in with them, and I was just like kind of piecing everything together myself. And then a few years into my business, I decided that I wanted to start a project, something that I knew absolutely really nothing about. So I decided at that point I'm going to go to one of the people. It was Yarrow Starrick at the time. I've been following his blog for years. I decided I'm going to go to him and I'm just going to follow his steps. I'm going to follow his process. I'm going to do everything this guy tells me to do. I trust this guy. I'm going to do everything he tells me to do. So that's exactly what I did. So 3 months from the time I started his programs, and although it wasn't necessarily a mentorship program, it was a program where I was learning about how to blog and how to build membership sites. It was for my project I was doing. In that 3 months, I made just under, yeah, just over 19,000 or just under 19,000, something like that. It was $19,000. And that was just from 3 months work of just applying literally everything he told me to. And I went hell for leather. I was like blogging every single day. I completely dedicated myself a video every single day. I was reaching out marketing every single day for hours and hours a day. But I knew that that was the only way. If I could have, if I was going to do this, I would have to be like all in when doing this. And I know a lot of people in mentorship, they're kind of like, they say they're all in, but really what they're doing is they've got like one foot in and one foot out, you know. So that's the first thing for me anyway. From my experience of being mentored, I followed everything like to the letter. So that was it for me. I got the results that I was hoping for and looking for. I attended every single call that I could. I attended all the group coaching. I contributed on the forums, everything that was available to me. I threw myself into it, like literally threw myself into it, into the community, into the program, into all the steps that I had to follow. And that was the result for me. So I can say that if I had not gone down that road of taking that program, of following that advice, of implementing and taking all that action, would I have had that 19 grand at the end of those 3 months? Absolutely not. I would blog posts about how to set things up, and I'd still be like going from, should I this person or this person? So for me, that was my experience of being on the other side of mentorship, not just being the person doing the mentoring. And it worked out for me. So in this session, we're going to, I've got notes over here, by the way. So if I'm glancing over here, it's not because I'm distracted, it's because I'm looking at my notes and I want to make sure I cover everything. And like I said, we've got 3 parts to this. So I really want to cover a lot of content. So get a notepad, get a pen. And, you know, I'm going to be talking about various things in this one. And we've got like these isolated topics all surrounding the subject of mentorship, which really, really to me is such a vital, important part of starting any business. It's just to have some guidance, have that person to follow. So the first thing we need to understand, or the first thing we need to get clear when we go into mentorship, and this is also sort of centered around coaching as well, but more so mentorship, is to really understand what mentorship is for. Okay, so obviously there are going to be different mentors out there that have different ideas and different opinions on what mentorship should be or how it should be. And for me, mentorship should be purely about creating the of yourself. Okay. And this is where it gets tricky, because a lot of people say that I'm a business mentor, relationship mentor, or, you know, I'm a health mentor and things like that. And that's all fun. We need all those kind of like laser focused people. But for me, when I look at mentorship, I can't go in and isolate one area and say, oh, I'm just going to mentor you in this area, because there are going to be other areas of your life which are going to affect the outcome of that area that you want to be mentored in. And if we don't look at the scope of things, if we don't look about how we're going to create this greatest version of yourself, and we only focus in on one thing, we are going to have loads of the pieces of the puzzle just randomly missing. So for me, it's about creating the best version of yourself and not leaving it to chance. So when you don't have a mentor or a guide, and you don't have your, you know, your shit together, and you know you're not like super clear on, this is where I'm heading, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get there, you're leaving it all to chance. Okay, so this is why, again, having a mentor is really important. Now, whether you invest in a mentorship program or you decide, I'm going to start looking at what's out there, following people on social media, seeing what they have to say, watching that and the other, you can do that. And then you can choose a mentor that way. We're going to look more into how to choose a mentor next week, like how to pick the right mentor for you. So there are various things that you can do. So this is about whether you're either like passively following someone as a mentor, or whether you're actively engaged in a program or working with them. So for me, the purpose of mentorship is to create the greatest version of yourself. That should be the end goal for the person who's doing the mentoring and for the person who's the mentee. Megan's in the room, by the way. She's showing up as my name, but just to let you know, if you've got any questions or anything like that, you can leave them there. So the dynamics of mentorship, for me anyway, the best way I can describe it is kind of like looking at mentorship like a vehicle. Okay, so mentorship is the vehicle. Now, in that vehicle, there has to be a driver, and the driver is always the mentee, the person who is being mentored. So in this case, if you're looking to be mentored by someone, you have to consider yourself the driver. At the end of the day, no matter who's mentoring you, no matter what they're charging you, no matter what, you know, what the dynamic is between you, you are always the driver. You are always the one in charge of your own destiny. You are always the one in the driving seat making the decisions no matter what. Think of the person who is mentoring you as two parts of this car. It's the headlights. So the mentor is your headlights. It allows you to see the way forward. It's your guiding light. Okay. So the mentor is there to guide. The mentor is not there to tell you you're right or you're wrong or you're this or you're that or you should go left or you should go right. No, no, no. The mentor is there just to feel their way around what you need to be doing and help to guide you, be that light to show you the way. The mentor is also the GPS system, okay? Because if you don't have a GPS system, there's a high chance you could be veering off into all kinds of different paths, which probably aren't the best ones for you. So also consider the mentor like a GPS, okay? So this is where you really have to kind of get to grips with, even though you've got a GPS in your car, that doesn't mean to say you have to follow what that GPS is saying. If you've got in your gut, and I've done this, I don't know whether you guys GPS systems in your car before, and the GPS is going turn left, and then in your gut and your mind, you're saying, no, wait a minute, I've been down this road before. And I think that there is a better way. I think if I go down this road, maybe there's a shortcut down that way and things like that. And the GPS is going turn left, turn left, turn left. And you're going like, no, I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to go that way. It's also really good to recognize that you can still trust your instinct as well on any level. There is no greater system for obtaining the correct answers than your own instinct. Your own instinct is playing tricks on you, you just don't feel like you know the right road to take, then follow the GPS, follow your mentor. Okay, the mentor is there to guide you, not to tell you what to do, but just to help guide you and give you some direction. Tint says, I agree with you. I have to be the best of myself. That is a non-stop job. Mentor is important. Not every time I can afford it. So I'm working for my best myself to be my best self. Okay. So to be best myself. Yes, for sure. It's all about creating the greatest version of yourself. Whether you have a mentor to do that, whether you don't, it's about how can I live a happier, healthier life, sleep, eat well, do all those good things, you know, and to take action every day. Do what you can, whether you have a mentor or not. Sometimes you can be your own mentor, for sure. Okay, so that's the dynamics of mentorship. So as long as you approach it that way, that it's a vehicle, you are the driver, you are the one in charge, you are the one calling the shots. Just think of your mentor like the headlights, so you can see where you're going. You can start to see things appearing in front of you, or see some light in front of you, so you can start getting some guidance, and then the GPS for direction. So guidance and direction is what the mentor is there to help you with. So when it comes to mentorship, a lot of people think that if they get a mentor or they invest in a mentor, that suddenly everything's going to be easy for them, you know, because they've got the mentor, and that mentor is there to help guide them, help show them the way, help tell them what to do, etc., etc. But the thing is, when you go to a mentor, you go to a mentor because you need change. You know, you need change in your life. And especially if you are looking to create the best version of yourself. So if you're looking to create the best version of yourself, there's going to be a process that you're going to have to go through, because you're not currently at that stage right now. If everything was perfect, everything was going your way, everything was exactly how you wanted it to be, you looked in the mirror and you were happy with yourself every morning, you looked at your business and you were happy with that every morning, you looked at your family dynamic and you were happy with that, what do you need a mentor for? So this is for the people who obviously do need a mentor, because these are the people who are looking at aspects and areas of their lives and thinking to themselves, this could be better. This is not the best version of myself. This is not the best version of my health. This is not the best version of my business, etc., etc. So what you need to do then is understand that mentorship is a hub. Okay, so HUB. This is like a, what do they call it, an acronym? Yeah. So the hub is basically the change process. So first of all, H stands for hard, because the first thing that comes with mentorship, once you usually go through the first session, so a lot of the first sessions I do with people are based around really digging up what are the problems, what's going wrong in your life, what's going right in your life. What are you feeling good about right now? What are you not feeling good about right now? So, and this isn't just about business aspect or anything like that. It's on so many levels: health, finances, business, everything, family dynamics, personal and professional. So we look at where you are and we have like a scoring system that we go through to find out, okay, what do we need to improve on to create this greatest version of yourself? And when we're looking at that, sometimes what we need to do is like make some very tough decisions. So the H is like, yes, this isn't working in my life. And the decision to say, right, I need to change something is hard. So that's the H. So there will be hard decisions that need to be made in order to see real change. You can't take those, I mean, you can take change incrementally, but at the end of the day, once you're going left, and left is comfortable, and left is what you know best, but left is gray and dull, and like it's not where you want to be. To take that decision to turn around and go right, it could be uncomfortable, it could be difficult, you might have to hurt people, you might have to upset people, and that's where the U comes in, which is uncomfortable, because the change process can be uncomfortable. So if you're looking for mentorship to really, really work, okay, you need to understand easy and comfortable really in that equation, because if it was easy and comfortable, you would have done it already yourself. It wouldn't be rocket science. So really it's going to be the job of the mentor to make sure that you make those hard decisions and you make the right ones for you, and then you help and support you and lift you up through that uncomfortable transition process of making those changes, whether that be in terms of your health. You're going to have to make changes to your diet and your exercise. You're going to have to do things you don't like necessarily feel comfortable with. It could be in your relationships. Maybe it's about removing toxic relationships from your life, or changing your job, or doing something different which will ultimately feel uncomfortable. But the B is bliss. So we've got the hub. It goes from hard to uncomfortable to blissful, because at the end, the reward, the total reward, is that you made that hard decision to make that improvement in your life. You went through that uncomfortable process. Maybe you had to be up late at night. Maybe you had to do things, like that didn't feel so easy for you. But at the end, you've got that blissful reward where you are in a better version of yourself. And the more and more you do that, really the easier it will become, because you'll start to see this pattern of taking these tough decisions, doing this uncomfortable, making the changes that you need to make, and then getting the reward at the end, where what you were striving for, what you wanted to do, what you were looking for, actually did happen and did come about. So always remember that mentorship is the process, the hub process: hard, uncomfortable, blissful. Okay, so that's another point that I wanted to cover. Is everyone okay? If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can click on the ask a question button if you want to ask me anything. And obviously I'm still reading the chat as we go along here as well. Tint says we have to have a vision that we want to be and then be. Absolutely. Clarity is so important. And your mentorship, since you made a really great point, your mentor should help you to achieve that clarity. And that's something we're going to touch on next week as well, but absolutely true. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is segmentation. I touched on this a little bit in the beginning. So for me, segmentation is when you say, oh, everything in my life is fine, but like I just want to work on my business, and really everything generally is not fine in every area of your life. So what I'm saying is like, we don't consider creating the greatest version of ourselves as an all-encompassing thing, which involves how we feel about ourselves, our self-worth, our self-confidence, our self-esteem, all of that stuff, plus how we feel about our relationships and our health, and how we feel about our business, and how we feel about ourselves skill-wise or work-wise or career-wise or financially. If we keep segmenting and isolating these areas of our lives, what we're going to end up doing is like climbing a lot of mountains, or it's going to feel like we're climbing a lot of mountains. So you've got your health mountain, so that mountain's over there, and then you've got your finance mountain, that mountain's over there, and some mountains might look bigger than others. But the point is, there is really only one mountain that you have to climb, and that mountain is your personal growth mountain. It's all encompassing growth, about creating the best version of yourself. So in my opinion, when you're looking about working with a mentor, you really should be looking at all of the areas of your life as a collective personal growth thing. The reason why I say this is because a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I just want to focus on my business. But then later down the line, they're not getting the results and things like that. And then you like, what's going on with you? And it's like, I'm going through a breakup, or my kid's having a really tough time at school, or I don't have any confidence, like when my mother keeps telling me that I can't do this, so these are all external influences all happening around you. But a lot of the times you're not going to realize they are actually affecting your ability to achieve the results that you want to achieve in a completely unrelated area. So if you're focusing on your business, but you've got your mom over here saying that you're not good enough to do it, or you've got your kid who's being bullied at school and you have to sort that out, you've got to tell your mentor all of these things so your mentor can take these things into consideration. A lot of us are so like, oh, we got to keep our personal problems to ourselves, but not in mentorship. Okay, a good mentor will be able to take all of these points on board and help to kind of give you a little bit of perspective. And also it will help the mentor to do a better job, because they will know what's going on in your life. They will know that you're having financial difficulty in this area, or problems with spouses or brothers or sisters or anything like that. And it's really important that you share that with your mentor so you can address all goes into the personal growth mountain. That goes into the one thing where we're looking at all these areas, we're taking them into consideration, and then the mentor or the GPS will be able to help guide and say, well, okay, now I know about this problem in your relationship. Maybe we can take a different approach. Maybe you can do things like this instead of like that. So it's really, really of paramount importance that you understand that there are not a million mountains to climb. There is one mountain to climb. If you segment things, if you isolate things, with your mentor, then you will find that you will have a lot of mountains to climb, and it will be an ongoing process which you never seem to get to at the end, because you're holding back like, oh, I don't want to bother her with that, or she doesn't need to know that about me and things like that. But everything that your mentor is doing for you is affected by every detail of your life. So another really important thing to take on board and consider when you're going to a mentor is to tell them about the other aspects of your life. And if they don't want to listen to those aspects, they're not a good mentor, believe me. Okay, the next thing. So we're kind of like moving in now to the problems with mentorship. And the reason I wanted to touch on this is because if you're thinking about working with a mentor, you are working with a mentor, these problems are quite common. So I don't want you to kind of have these, whether you're working with me or you're working with somebody else. I don't want you to have these, and I want you to be able to recognize them in advance because they are pretty important. So the first one with mentorship is accountability. This is a huge one, because when I mentor people, it's like we're on the call, we're going through the stuff, we're going through the motions, we're bringing up all this kind of baggage, we're reorganizing it. It's like a lot of emotional and mental baggage in mentorship that we need to kind of just kind of like clear the decks. You know, it's like having a loft, and you know, like a mental loft in your head, and you've just kind of shoved up all that stuff in that loft. Like you don't want to deal with it, I'll just put it up there. I don't want to deal with that, I'll put it up there. That's causing me a problem, I don't want to deal with that. So what we have to do, and this is another like the hard uncomfortable part, is we have to just clear out that loft, that mental baggage. And when we do that, there is a moment of clarity that occurs with people where they're like, oh, yes, this is what I need to do. This makes so much sense now. Yes, I've got to get rid of that. I've got to eliminate that out of my life. I've got to change that in my life. You know, so like we go through all these motions of, yes, this is what I've got to do. This is what I've got to do. And then it's like motivation. And then suddenly sort of you go back to reality. You get off the call, you go back to reality in real life. And suddenly all that reality is still there. Even though mentally you've shifted things around and you've decided what you need to do, it's very tough in the moment to kind of realize I've got to get through this in my current state. And that's the reality of mentorship. No matter how many calls you have with someone, or the first call you have with someone, or the second call you have with someone, your external surroundings are pretty much going to be the same after that call. So accountability is really important. What I've tended to see, this is particularly in my people, is the people who aren't totally on the ball, totally motivated, totally ready to go for it, got their head clear, you know, like totally committed. And those people are rare. Like the 110% people, I'm totally committed. They're rare people, but they do occur. So the ones that are more common are the ones that desperately want the change, desperately want to see the change from their mentorship, but they go back into their life. They're okay for a couple of days, and then reality starts kicking in, ordinary life starts kicking in. So accountability is really important. So, and it's not just about having those weekly calls for 4 weeks or 4 months. It's about consistency in the accountability. Someone to push you and nudge you and saying, Karen, are you doing this? Tints, are you doing this? When are we going to do this? How are we going to move forward with this? Did you do what you said you were going to do? And if that is too far apart, that is going to be a problem. Not only that, I will bring up procrastination in this as well. So procrastination is probably one of the biggest hindrances in mentorship. And what I found is that I would try to help people to not procrastinate or to get over their procrastination. And yes, it worked with some people, but again, the real hard procrastinators sometimes did not follow through. So with procrastination, instead of, I've decided now in my mentorship, instead of trying to fix someone who procrastinates or fix the, you know, like try to stop them procrastinating, I've decided that actually let them procrastinate, but find other ways of working around it, which we'll get to a little bit later. But now it's, to me, it's about bypassing the procrastination and thinking about in modern day about people's lives, about how people think, about how people work. And we'll talk about that in a second. But procrastination is a big one. So if you are a procrastinator, really think about the support that the mentorship program, really important. Okay, so accountability is the one thing. Momentum is another thing. The motivation, you know, it's about community as well, because if you feel isolated, then sometimes working just with a mentor one-on-one and then having that mentorship program end and then that there's nothing else happening afterwards, it can sometimes feel a little bit isolated, and sometimes you'll feel like you're on your own and you can't really do it. So momentum is a good one. So I always like to see mentors who have maybe communities or groups or something like that where they can have ongoing support for the people that they're mentoring. It's another really big one, or something to look for if you're choosing a mentor or a program. The next thing is, and this is another one that's come up for me quite a lot, is availability. So when I talk about availability, so imagine, when life gives you lemons, you go and make lemonade, right? Because you're trying to make the best of it. But you see, the thing is about making lemonade is you need other ingredients and you need a recipe. And if you've never made lemonade, you need someone to tell you how to make lemonade, or you've got to go and look it up. So then you've got to get in the car and you've got to go down to the supermarket that day. So you go back home and then you wait for the next day, and then you go and the supermarket and an ingredient's missing or something like that. So when life gives you lemons, you want to make lemonade, but you kind of want it to not be like getting to the point where you're so disheartened that you decide to just give up on making the lemonade anyway. So you're wondering why I'm talking about this in reference to mentorship, but in the reference to mentorship, basically what that means is if somebody's being mentored and they've got a problem, they've got the lemon, and then they got to wait for their next group coaching call in order to discuss it, or they got to wait for their next scheduled appointment, or they've got to wait for someone to answer their email, maybe it's on a weekend, or they got to wait for something else, then what can happen is, I think, because I've done this myself sometimes as well, you'll sit there and you'll say, oh, it's going to take so long, just won't bother with it, or no, I'll forget that. And oftentimes, like when life gives you lemons, those are the prompts, those are the real moments in time. If it's a problem or if it's something good, if it's something bad, those are the moments in time that you really have to pay attention to and you really have to act on, whether it's something indifferent. It's coming up for you and you're in the point where you're like, I want to talk to someone about this, or I need to share this with someone, or I've got this issue, and it's time sensitive to you, but it might not be time sensitive for the mentor. And what happens is that can also kind of like put a spanner in the works in mentorship, because you might not be moving forward with things you really need to be moving forward with. And that is also a problem. So this is, again, something else we need to think about. It's the availability of the mentor. And then finally, there's another thing that I've noticed that people don't do enough. And that is really focus on the little things. So in mentorship, for sure, we want to set big goals, okay? Because, like we don't want to restrict ourselves. We don't want to say, oh, let's just do that because it feels comfortable. No, we want to set big goals. We want to see change. We want to know that the mentorship program is working, that things are happening, that we are getting what we came for. So mentorship is really, really important in that respect. But the little things, I think, are even more important. Have the big goals, but it's the baby steps, it's the little things. If you don't start rewarding yourself for those, like the little wins, the little things you do on a, not just like the big chunk or the big mountain that you have to climb in front of you. If you focus on the mountain, believe me, it's more difficult to get to the other side. If you focus on the steps, it's less difficult to get to the other side. So what we want to do is focus on the steps, and we need to have reward systems for achieving those baby steps. So that's another thing that I think has to be incorporated into mentorship. And this, for me, these are just the things that I've really noticed are really, really important based on the problems that I've seen, the problems that people face, people getting results and that type of thing. So I wanted to collectively kind of bring all this information together so you have a really good idea about how to approach mentorship if you're going to be mentored by somebody, and the kind of things that you need to be looking for, the problems that are there and the problems that can occur, and could impact the results that you're going to get from that mentorship. It's really, really important. So that was the first session, and I did talk a little bit about potential solutions, and I do have a potential solution now in my mentorship program, which I'm very, very excited about. So this is the first session. This is the first session, the things I wanted to, what mentorship is, how to approach mentorship. But obviously I also have a mentorship program. So next week, we're going to be discussing the course of action that you can take on mentorship. We're going to be discussing about preparing yourself to be mentored and choosing your right mentor. But for me, one of the things I've done in my mentorship program to kind of combat all those problems that people are facing in terms of following through on their mentorship, achieving the results on their mentorship, that type of thing, is something that I have added to my mentorship program. And if you guys want to go and check it out, I'm just going to put a green button on the bottom of the screen here for you. And basically, inside my mentorship program, it's a 4-part mentorship program. So generally, I like people to take it week by week with me, because I feel that there is the most impact when the sessions are closer together. But you can also take them like a month apart at a time. But what I don't want to do is for people to take those 4 sessions and then in between kind of like drop off the map and then come back on the map again, because that's not effective. There has to be a complete rolling momentum going. I've added to my mentorship program, my 4-week mentorship program, or 4-part mentorship program, a WhatsApp group. And the reason I added this is because for a while now, I have been using my phone to record an audio journal. And basically what happens is I don't necessarily record an audio journal like, like Dear Diary, I'm feeling really down today or anything like that. I record inspired thoughts. I record inspiration. I record moments of clarity, of ideas, of concepts, of things that we should be doing, of, like, for example, I was, experiences that I have had, which have impacted myself or others, interactions that I have on a daily basis. And I basically audio record these things and I put them in a journal. But right now, I'm the only person that has access to them. And I was listening back to some of these and I thought to myself, God, this is stuff that people really need to hear. It's stuff that for sure it's helpful, it's useful, it will help give you the insights. So what I'm going to start doing is I've created a WhatsApp group for the people that I'm mentoring on my mentorship program. And I am going to start on a daily basis sharing my audio journal entries with you guys. And it sometimes like the audio entries are just a couple of words, like there is something in there, there's context. Sometimes it's a couple of paragraphs or something like that. But they are just random thoughts from me that occur that day. And I also thought to myself that inside this group, you guys can also post your audios in there if you want to, or ask questions. And because it's a WhatsApp group, I'm literally in WhatsApp every day. So I'll be able to, in real time on a daily basis, and I will post in there on a daily basis, but I will also be able to address things that are going on with you. If you've got a problem, if you've got an issue, if a question has come up, you don't have to wait to send an email into support and then wait for someone to respond to you, or post in the Facebook group and then wait it on a call or something like that. You can just post in this WhatsApp group. Everyone's in there. We've got a community, and I will respond either with an audio message to you or a type message or whatever is going to be easier. So the WhatsApp group is for like real-time daily support. It's like having access to me on tap, obviously not when I'm sleeping or I'm in a meeting or something like that, but on a daily basis for sure. I'm going to be going in there and help mentoring, because I don't want people to lose that accountability or to lose that momentum or to feel like they've got the lemons but they don't have the ingredients to make the lemonade. That's what I really want to do, and that's what this WhatsApp group is all about. So there's going to be daily audio journals, which is like insights, tidbits of information. I'm going to share things that I found really helpful. I'm big into personal growth and development so much. I look at that stuff a lot as well for my own personal growth and development, and that's kind of what I want to share with you guys. We're also going to look at habit forming in the group, because I want to help people to start creating healthy habits in their lives, whether that be forms of meditation or exercise or healthy eating or anything like that, to help kind of like course correct and adjust. And it could be a habit or meditating or anything like that. So we're going to be looking at habit forming inside the group as well, and that's something that needs to be done consistently on a daily basis. You'll be supported by me with audio messages and recordings, and again, this is on a real-time basis. And basically, we're going to be covering all of those one mountain topics, all of these mountains, you know, like the finance mountain and the relationship mountain and the I've got a problem with this mountain and the problem with that, fear of health. We're going to be covering all of these things in there as one. So what I hope this will do for you guys or the people on my mentorship program is I hope that it will help address, because I've never seen anything like this in any mentorship program before. I hope it will help you address all of those problems that can occur through a mentorship with someone where the results just aren't quite as you had hoped. This will hopefully address that, and it will address those problems. So the mentorship program is essentially the same. You get all the bonuses that usually come with it. But there is one more bonus now, which is like 6 months free access to this WhatsApp group that I'm putting together. The WhatsApp group is run by me, the admins on my team as well. And it's just going to be the people that are all working towards that common goal of creating the best version of themselves. And a lot of the times when I'm coaching and mentoring people, there are a lot of things applicable to one person that are also applicable to some of the other people I'm teaching. And I'm like, damn, you know, I'd really love to get that person and that person talking, or this person can really help that person with that issue because she's been through it or he's been through it. So that's another reason why I wanted to do this, is so like I can connect and introduce other people who are having the same issues, facing the same challenges. Just me then providing input and contrast, there's somebody else there to do the same. So that's something new that is happening in my mentorship program. And if you guys have any questions right now, I'm going to wrap this up because I wanted to keep these kind of like short, bite-sized, not too long, so you can watch it and digest it. Just to also let you know that these 3-part series are going to be available inside the Academy Pro. So if you're not a member of Academy Pro, what we're going to do is package up these 3 sessions, these 3 mentorship sessions, or these 3 classes, and we're going to put them inside Academy Pro. So if you ever want to come back to this course or to any of the other courses that we're going to be doing in the future, you can get access to those inside Academy Pro. And I believe Megan has the link that she's going to put inside the chat box for the Academy Pro there, so you can get a discount if you wanted to access these replays inside there. So that's it for this session. I don't think we have any questions. If you do, let me know. But was that helpful? If for those of you who are still here and still listening with me, do you like these kind of like shorter, sharper sessions where I can kind of like extend out a little bit more and share a little bit more information over the course of weeks? Or do you guys prefer it just kind of like being? I think these sessions, Camille likes it. Yeah. Good. That's cool, because that's kind of like what I wanted to do with you guys. Kayla says it helps with time management. Yes, I thought so too, as well, because we're keeping it a lot shorter. Sometimes my webinars go on for like an hour and a half, and I know it's really long for people to, and that, again, this is like time efficiency to help people with. Short and sweet, short and sharp. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So, okay, that's it for the first session. We're going to wrap this one up. Next week, helpful to listen, guidelines to be on the road. Awesome. So next week, we're going to have, Jan says short is good. I really like this feedback. Thank you so much, guys. Tint says thank you. So next week, come back next week, this time next week. And don't forget, we're going to be doing these every month. Or just so you know, next month, in May, we're going to be doing how to build a boutique website business. So I'm really excited about that one because I've got templates and stuff to go in with that one. But we started with mentorship because this is kind of like a nice kind of like setting the tone for moving forward kind of one. Karen's going, the kitchen is chaos and hubby is home soon. Karen, off you go, darling. I completely can relate to that. Okay, so join me next week, same time here next week for the in this series where we're going to be talking about choosing your course of action, preparing yourself to be mentored, and then choosing your mentor. All really important parts of this process. But hopefully you've taken away some information from this one that you can go away and apply if you are being mentored. And don't forget, if you would like to take me up on my mentorship program, that WhatsApp group is now included as part of the mentorship program. So I'm really super excited about that. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us on support@virtualmissfriday.com. Camille says, thanks for the info and relatable examples. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Be there or be square. Lovely to see you guys. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening where you are. And I will catch you next time. Thank you so much.